Hello and welcome to Jurassic Park 3 Minutes, where we'll discuss the second Jurassic Park sequel 1 minute at a time. I'm Brad.
I'm Dave.
On this episode, we'll be discussing 22 of Jurassic Park 3.
I'm sorry we had to be so
Who
rough.
hit me?
That would be, Cooper.
What are they doing?
They're setting up a perimeter to make the place safe. These guys are good.
Trust me, on this island there is no such thing as safe. We have to get back on that plane. Will you tell your wife to stop making that noise? That is a very, very bad idea.
Over the Christmas break, Colin had been doing a few interviews with some people in the media, and they asked him some questions about sort of Fallen Kingdom, Jurassic World, and going on into Jurassic World 3, where, again, like most interviews by people, or those involved that can't really say a lot, it's pretty standard answers going through here, but they were asked about some things like the animals going after or attacking cities in Jurassic World 3, and it was just good to see Colin respond with whoops, I go down. Oh, I've lost where I was now. Pretty much saying that why would a dinosaur want to attack a city? There's plenty of places now where you have prey or predators around the city, and they don't come in and attack people. Yes, they're a little bit smaller than a dinosaur, but you do sometimes have wolves and that come into urban centres when they're after food, but they're not really going out and deliberately attacking, being organised and attacking people. So.
Yeah. I mean, he does have a good point there. I mean, it's not like we see daily attacks, quote-unquote attacks, like by wolves, coyotes, or bears on American cities. I mean, they do show up there on occasion, and people get scared because they eat their little toy poodles and because they left their little toy poodles around where their house used to be the coyotes' territory. But it's not like they're actively trying to maliciously attack the city and bring it down, like Godzilla attacking Tokyo.
I'm just going to smash this building for no reason.
Exactly. They're not nuclear abominations hell-bent on mankind's punishment, you know? I mean, they're just not. They're animals.
Yeah, and sort of coming here with part of his response to the question about sort of comparing what might happen to Godzilla or Planet of the Apes. He sort of says the world he gets excited about is where it's possible that a dinosaur might run out in front of a car on a foggy road or invade your campground looking for food, which, as sort of a B or C plot to the film, yes, maybe the dinosaurs are causing problems like that, but I don't think it's going to be a major plot point of the film. Just
no.
Yeah.
The comment that they could be attacking campgrounds, though, does kind of spur my imagination on what could possibly be the opening for the next movie. My idea was that, of course, they would stay around mostly the redwoods. I mean, you look at the redwoods; those trees have been there for over 70 million years, you know? So that's kind of a natural dinosaur habitat. That's why they filmed there in The Lost World. But my idea would be, of course, because there's so many campgrounds around the redwoods, you can't throw a stick in the air without landing on one. And so a man, his wife, and his child are out camping in the redwoods, and now this kind of takes a bit from the first novel, if that spoils where I'm going here. He hears a chirping noise and hears a rustling in his tent, and when he wakes up and goes for a pistol, thinking it's a raccoon, he sees the head pop up and is near where his infant is sleeping, and is bloody. He takes a couple of shots at the Compsognathus that we see, and he misses, of course, because of course you can't harm dinosaurs with guns.
Yeah.
And it just and a couple others scurry off into the darkness, and that's our opening scene. This man freaking out, finding dinosaurs eating his baby in the middle of the night.
Yeah, and that's sort of one really, I suppose, horrific sort of scene from the original novel too, where they come forward, and you've also got, as part of the same novel, Kathy on the Beach, or Tina on the Beach, where it was changed to Kathy. But I wonder if I wonder if the opening to The Lost World sort of hurts if you could do a scene like that again after Compies where you've already sort of got one. Yes, it'd be a completely different setting, but it's still sort of one of them things where you got Compies coming in and attacking, but it would be great to see on screen something like that. A little bit darker.
Well, I mean, it's probably would honestly be something that would probably not be done just because of the rating. You'd have to heavily edit that just so you have heavy implication rather than you actually seeing anything. But yeah, I'd like to want that scene done in film just because it's one of the most memorable scenes from the first novel, simply because of its horrificness.
Yep. Yeah, and then it's another plot point of the film that sort of dropped of the novel that sort of dropped between that and even The Lost World. It's sort of hinted at that there are animals on the mainland, but it's never really addressed. Well, nothing's ever really done about it.
Which is kind of the interesting thing about Jurassic World 3, is we are finally getting there. We're finally getting dinosaurs on the mainland, which is something that, frankly, has been wanted to have been done since the first novel.
I just wish it was a natural migration and not a auction selling off to the Russians and all the other stuff. But I suppose if you need to get the animals as far and wide as you can, well, like the novel, it's all going to be central to Costa Rica, where you could go back to Hawaii and keep shooting there.
Yeah. Whereas now we are kind of in the middle of the Redwoods. Oric, which is 5 miles from the Lockwood Mansion, is just tiny little town set right there in the middle of the Redwoods. I've been there when I went to the Redwoods, and so if, say, the the Indoraptor got out and managed to get to that town, it would have been a bloodbath. The town would have been ripped off the map.
Well, even seeing Blue at the end come into the back suburbs of that town, even though it sort of looked more like a Nevada or sort of that rocky mountainous terrain there.
Well, we saw the Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's just sort of interesting to see these different landscapes that aren't jungle or the redwoods, but
well, we did see the Pteranodons in Vegas, so they're pretty fast.
Viva Las Vegas. Yeah. Yeah. We'll see how that ties into the third film.
Yeah.
I suppose there's not really a lot else. Though he was asked to, he's no, not there. Where is it? He must have said in previous interviews that Jurassic World 3 will have the most accurate dinosaurs yet. And of course he was asked about the feathers and otherwise, and he was sort of saying that the dinosaurs from the series are how they're going to stay for the most part, but now that there's other people getting their hands on the cloning technology, there's going to be some variations in animals, which could be interesting to see how they go down the road there with innovation.
I mean, it goes back to some of the stuff that Dodson wanted the dinosaurs for in the first and second novels, having, for example, safari parks where you can go and pay to shoot a triceratops, or even like medical testing, like you can test cosmetics on a what would be the dinosaur equivalent of a pig, maybe a Psittacosaurus or a Protoceratops or something like that, you know?
Yeah, and it's sort of interesting now, especially after Fallen Kingdom, where because like mainly from the Lost World novel, where he's talking about we need to get these assets now, the time to strike, and because of testing, no one's going to care about the dinosaur because it's not a real animal and all that sort of thing. Instead of testing on dogs and monkeys and that, now would be a fantastic time to bring that in post Jurassic or Fallen Kingdom, where the Dinosaur Protection Group were trying to save the island and the government wouldn't step in to do anything about it. So it just again sort of shows that maybe people do, but the governments don't care about these animals. They don't see them as real animals.
I'm still kind of curious about what they're going to do with the social media account Extinction Now, because that came very late into the marketing game for Fallen Kingdom, and so I'm kind of wondering if that was a setup for the third movie and not just for Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, but we do have a bit of a wait before I think they're still scripting and everything else, so they haven't even started pre-production yet, so there's going to be a little bit of a wait to see what they start putting together for the film.
Yeah.
Anything else on that you want to discuss before we get into today's minute?
No, I think we're good.
Alright. As we entered minute 21 of Jurassic Park 3, the group had gotten back into plane, and Nash had throttled up the engines and it started to take off. But in the jungle, Cooper was fleeing from the Spinosaur, and emerged on the end of the airstrip and tries to wave him down. As we open on minute 22, Nash says, "You know I can't stop this plane, and get out of the way." And Cooper pleads, and says, "Please stop." At the 6-second mark, he looks back to the jungle as the Spinosaur emerges, and runs across the airstrip, and bends down and picks up Cooper in his jaws. Seeing this, Nash says, "Oh my god," and pulls back on the yoke, trying to get the plane in the air. But the left propeller hits the Spinosaur, and the plane goes down. At the 21-second mark, after losing its tail, landing gear, and wings, the plane comes to a stop in the top of a large tree. Everyone slowly sits up and takes a moment to breathe. At the 42-second mark, Udesky tells everyone to just stay put. Grant ignores him and starts to walk towards the back of the plane, but then Udesky tries the radio, calling for San Juan approach, and calling Mayday. Nash turns to the others and yells, "Who's got the satellite phone?" And Paul goes and retrieves it from his backpack. And as the minute ends, Grant gets the back door open slightly to reveal that they haven't quite landed yet.
Well, first off, I do want to make a little correction from last week. Turns out, yes, Jurassic World or Fallen Kingdom did use Dillingham Airfield for filming Jurassic World. They also used the airfield for the base camp. So that base camp that we saw them setting up in, where we set them up and then launching off from in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom was also Dillingham Airfield.
Yeah, because I posted a photo up on that in that base camp where one of the tents is. You see an old, and it's clearly an old satellite dish that's set up for communications there, and it was sort of one of those things that looks very similar to the satellite dish that's on top of the shack. And whether, if they do use the area for filming, whether there's some sort of like props depot there that they just recycle props for filming and that, but it's impossible to know for sure without having someone on the ground knowing what's there being used. But because we also in that shot too in the movie we actually get like there's the old destroyed fences and that as well, which sort of makes you wonder if it was something built for Jurassic World, or if it was something dating back to Jurassic Park. But yeah, as we open on minute 22, we cut back to the plane as Nash is projecting to Cooper that, I can't stop this plane, because they're obviously not able to hear each other. And then we cut back outside the Cooper as he sees the plane. And it's sort of a good thing here where they're actually using a real plane on the airstrip here, where you can see how fast it's approaching. Yes, Cooper's probably composited in front of it, and it's not actually flying towards him at speed, but
you really wouldn't even have to do a full model. It's just kind of like a darkish blur blob sitting there on the airfield.
Yeah. But then we sort of see from the side past Cooper at the jungle as the Spinosaur emerges. Takes a couple of steps out on the runway and snaps him up, and I'm glad it sort of bends down and grabs him sideways, sort of like a crocodile, and not just how we normally see the Rex come out and just grab people from the top.
Can we just comment, though, that like right before it eats him, we get the quick shot of Cooper, and then the quick shot of Nash. And the quick shot of Cooper we see, he just looks so desperate and scared. That's actually really good acting right there. I don't think I've ever seen some full-grown man just reduced to that kind of fear.
Well, especially in these films where you got the predators. Like Dieter didn't do it for the compies. Like Muldoon just knew he was he was stuffed in Jurassic Park. There was no, he didn't really have much time to react. Once clever girl, he's gone straight away. But it's just that sort of raw fear.
Looking at the frame by frame here, I got set up here. I do like the shot we get of the Spinosaurus as it first emerges. We you don't really get to appreciate it because it happens so fast in the movie. But the way that the foot is, it reminds me a lot of the early theropod reconstructions from the early 2000s, where they had the foot kind of like a modern bird's when it lifts up, where it's kind of just creased there in the middle of the foot with the toes pointing towards the ground.
Yep.
Out of Cooper in his mouth. And I'm going to admit, the first time I got the VHS, me and my dad kind of sat down and watched it together, and it was one of those whoa moments. And we got to pause the tape just as the mouth was about to snap down on Cooper here, and it looked fake then, it looks fake now. I'm sorry. I mean, there's one of the worst CGI practical blends in the Jurassic Park movies, probably right up there with the CGI Brachiosaurus mixing in with a practical set. That just, I mean, you can tell that the CGI is not there when it's on Cooper.
Yeah, and especially they try to hide it too with having the shot low. You only see sort of its legs, and then it ducks down in frame to grab him. Just so you haven't got the whole body there. But I wonder if it's just a matter of whether or not they sort of had time to do the CG on it, or they're just going along trying to get what they could filmed.
I mean, you can tell that Cooper's practical in the shot, and you gotta admit that the model itself is very well done. It's a very good CGI model. The blend is just not well done.
Yep. But inside the plane, Nash sees it. Oh my God! Pulls back on the yoke, trying to get the plane to raise in the air. Whether it's anywhere near takeoff speed or not, it does get off the air. But as the plane sort of gets some attitude, it's not enough, and there's a spray of blood across the windscreen, and the plane drops to the left.
Yeah, you get the shot of the plane. You get the shot of the plane just making it over the sail of the Spinosaurus. But if you pause it just right, you'll be able to see a little bit of blood spurting from behind the sail as the plane goes over it. And then, of course, you see the blood splatter on the windshield, which is obvious.
Yeah. Which I had to look where the props were in relation to the windscreen, because I think I've read or seen somewhere someone commenting that if the props hit the windscreen, especially if the speed the plane's flying, it would never get on the windscreen of the plane. It would be on the side of the plane, but I never had a quick look at the plane there. And it is later on we'll get to the script where it is that left engine that's hit, and that's why here you can see the plane clearly banks to the left as they lose power or lose a prop from that engine, and starts to go down. In the cockpit, Udesky yells out, fuel cut off, and Nash replies, we're going down, and you can see the sky out the windscreen turn into trees as the nose drops down. And like the crash itself here, it happens real quick here, where you've got Udesky and Nash in the cockpit, and he's sort of, Nash says we're going down. You can hear the alarm in the background, how it's really like beep, beep, beep fast.
Yeah.
But then as soon as the crash happens, you sort of still hear that alarm, but it's slowed right down just to show you how fast this crash happens. And it's only about 7 seconds of screen time from when it enters the jungle and when it stops in the tree at the end.
Which was actually a practical effect. Well, I mean, it's practical mixed with CGI, but Johnston actually filmed a practical plane going through a practical forest, and just having pieces rip off as they filmed it, going through their little set they had created. The prop, I forget how big it was. It was probably a good 3 or 4 feet across. So it's a good scaled prop, and what they did was they took the prop and they had it on a string that they just whipped. They just had it ripped right through like a bunch. You could see it was real trees too. They had like a bunch of gnarled trees and potting plants. Potted trees and potters, and you could just see. I'll have to dig out the picture. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I think our listeners would appreciate it.
Yep. Yep. But yeah, the landing gear's the first thing to go, then the wings, and then the tail. And I wonder if it's just because of Udesi's line that he shut the fuel off, and that's why there's no explosions.
I think so too. Well, of course,
But
that would probably be the smartest thing to do if you're in a plane crash, is to automatically shut the fuel off, because if that ignites, you're all gone.
Yeah, and especially like when the wings are cut, they're cut at the side of the plane, not out where the fuel tanks would be. So it's possible the tanks wouldn't have even ruptured.
I'm looking at the pictures of the practical forest here that we see, and I'm kind of wondering if this was the same forest they used in the teaser that we talked about at the beginning of this show, where we see just the quick flashes of jungle and stuff. Because it kind of looks, the pigmentation of the mist and stuff is very, very similar.
Yeah. And we get sort of that high grass too that they run through later and find the Tyrannosaur.
Yeah, that I think was one of the sets. Because we'll see here coming up in the next couple minutes when Nash falls to the ground and we see him get stomped on and the leg kind of censors out him getting decapitated by the Spinosaurus. And it's very much that kind of same tone as we see in the trees here, that kind of bluish mist color.
Yep. But no, the crash happens, and it's sort of in the plane we get Alan So lift his head and painfully aware of what just happened and how it means they're all screwed now, and everyone else sort of gets up taking the situation. It's hard to sort of see where, like, none of the actors got any damage, like there's no cuts or bruises or scrapes or anything. They only get them in the next minute when the fuselage is rolling around the ground.
Yeah, they don't have them. They will.
You think